Hello and welcome to another reaction video. This time we're going to watch Bricky's 40k timeline video. After explaining all the factions in a previous video, I'm interested in seeing where they all fit in the timeline. So grab a drink and let's dive right in.
In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium exists the Empire of Man, a backwards carcass of an empire comprised of many devoted forces, gigantic robot knights, religious machine cultists, and incredibly heavily armored women, most likely with sweltering abs. And one must know what those abs taste like.
Yeah. Ooh, that's awesome. Sweet six packs.
My gamer subs flavor is here. Sweet six pack has arrived. A delicious and refreshing cherry pineapple blend. Ooh. Play the sound. Yes,
that sounds nice.
Bricky's official gamer subs flavor is here. Sweet six pack, not only in regular energy mode, but also in caffeine free. The cherry pineapple flavor is not the kind of flavor that just smacks you in the face. It is light, it is refreshing, and it's one of those things where you sip it and you go, not bad. And next thing you know, you are having your fourth refill the same day. And it is available now. Link in the description. Use code Bricky for 10% off your entire order. Not just for this, but for everything you buy. And I'm not dumb. If you buy any of these tubs, regular, caffeine-free of my sweet six-pack flavor, you will get a Muscle Girl 32-ounce shaker completely for free. There are only a couple thousand of those shakers, so get it while
I guess they're all
supplies
gone then
last.
already.
I cannot believe we finally have this, but I told everyone, like, once you find out the flavor, you'll be like, yeah, that tracks, and damn straight does it track. Sweet six pack available now. Code Bricky, link in the description.
You heard him. Buy all the tubs. Kaida has endorsed this. Okay, on to the video.
The age of knowledge and enlightenment has ended. The age of darkness has begun. Roughly 60 million years ago, there existed aliens. And these aliens lived short, painful lives.
These are Necrons.
They belonged to radiation-stricken worlds and often died of various cancers before the age of 30. These aliens, the Necron tier, looked up to the stars and found extreme beings of real power. Beings with the ability to create life. The Old Ones of the galaxy. They asked these Old Ones for help. Please cure us of our ailments. To which the Old Ones said, piss off. So the Necron tier gathered together and did the sensible thing. They declared war upon these old beings and were promptly beaten into the dirt back to their short, painful lives. In the world of Warhammer, there is a hell. This hell is not like you and I know it. It's more of an afterlife, a place where dead souls end up. This place has many names: the Empyrean, the Sea of Souls, the Immaterium, and the Ether. But mostly, we just call it the Warp. While you and I know of hell as a place of horrors and punishment, the Warp isn't really that. Not in the beginning. It's energy, but the kind of energy formed from thought and soul.
Yeah, we learned about this. This is where chaos comes from.
Souls of people end up in a place that is impossible to understand. No laws of reality exist. Like, time is merely a suggestion, and it is not something that can be braved easily. The Warp would be like sailing the ocean in a pirate movie. To jump from your ship would be certain death. To stay in the sea for too long on your boat could drive a man mad. And there are many dangerous things lurking in those depths. Yet, the sea is not evil. It simply is. Mostly. There are more malevolent beings in those waters, areas that you do not sail towards. This would be known as the realm of chaos. The realm of chaos exists in the warp as a special area led by 3 chaos gods. Khorne, the god of combat, murder, and slaughter, with a pile of skulls taken in his name.
Blood for the blood
god of change, mystery, and deceit, a confusing paradox of lies, schemes, and sorceries. And Nurgle, god of rot, pestilence, and Genshin impact. All things rot in the end. And Grandfather Nurgle is waiting for you with open arms. These gods ruled their respective realm in the warp, sending their many followers against each other in the great game to be the most powerful of all the gods. So the warp exists. Hell is real, parallel to our galaxy, with the realm of chaos and its gods fighting for control. But there are also gods of real space, gods of the normal world too. They're called Catan, and they eat stars.
Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
These star gods saw the plight of our poor Necron tier and how the old ones cast them aside and said, you know what? You guys want immortality? Oh, we will make it happen. We are the gods of the tangible, of real space. We can give you a cure. So then they ate all their souls.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And turned them into robotic automaton.
Nothing is free.
On their souls and leaving a hollow shell of an intelligence left that is technically immortal. With the power of an entire species' souls, they turned their new robotic slaves on the old ones and hunted them to extinction. The Necron tier, now the soulless, undying Necrons, got their wish at the price of their souls. But we can count the number of kind gods on an amputated hand. With time, the selfish star gods turned on each other, fighting one another for more chances at glory and power. With this, the leader of the Necrons, Zarek, the Silent King, the man who doomed his species when he accepted this deal, waited, planned, bide his time until he seized the perfect moment and turned his legions of undead citizens against the star gods. Gods cannot be killed.
I am digging the Grim Reaper vibe though.
So Zarek broke the star gods into thousands of pieces and locked them away.
I wonder if these Satan things have models.
Their free will away as they did
having
to
a big
them,
Grim Reaper model would be pretty awesome.
As basically Pokemon to be used as weapons in the future.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's the Void Dragon.
It's a Void
Zarek
Dragon.
then, with his perfect memory,
which ironically sounds like a Pokemon,
sins, flying out to the darkness between galaxies to atone for what he had done. This entire situation, the genocide of the Old Ones and the rebellion of Zarek, will go down in history as the War in Heaven. It is the most brutal war the galaxy has ever seen and ever will see. This was a conflict that took an entire galaxy-spanning species and pitted them against gods that ate stars. The Necrons, rather crippled from, you know, the War in Heaven, decided to go to sleep in gigantic tomb worlds.
Yeah, I guess they were pretty tired after all that.
The upstart species of the galaxy died out. And so turns out when you have a war that lasts tens, hundreds of thousands of years and involves the genociding of multiple species, the old ones of the galaxy, and the consumption of souls from an entire race, the warp gets a little wacky. You know, if you had a kiddie pool and it was nice and calm, Khorne is over there splashing about, so you don't really go in that direction. Nurgle has explosive diarrhea, so you don't really go in that direction either. But you can still kind of get in the pool. The pool's still fine.
Do not drink
Turns
the water.
out when you add a couple trillion souls to that kiddie pool, it'll make the waves a little more turbulent. And turns out a lot of them like to pick a side, Nurgle, Tzeentch, or Khorne. So the once calmer warp, the once relaxing kiddie pool, has now been bloated. 1,000,000 years of war will certainly make Khorne, god of murder and slaughter, more powerful. 1,000,000 years of war will probably make Tzeentch, god of deception and change, a little more powerful. And good God, 1,000,000 years of war will make Nurgle, god of decay, oh, just the tiniest bit more powerful. Now, entering that kiddie pool is no longer fun, it's dangerous. The warp is now a problem. Hell is resembling hell a lot closer to what we imagined it originally. The Sea of Souls and the Realm of Chaos are now intertwined. So who else to brave the galaxy than a species that won't need to deal with that?
I think I'd rather have a fiery hell than a gross hell.
The Eldar are space elves. They have a lot of the traits that you probably think of when you think of elves. Tall, slender, pointy ears, bit more androgynous looking, no matter what DeviantArt will tell you, and a bit stronger on the emotional side. The old ones, as I mentioned, could create life. And when they were getting, you know, absolutely bodied by the Catan and the Necrons, they made some new races to try to help them. One of them was the Eldar. It didn't save them, but they're here now anyway. Oh, and also the orcs, but they're busy right now.
Yeah.
The Eldar are a particularly psychically powerful race, so they were really adept at being able to handle the new turbulent warp of chaos and good at killing Necrons, hence why they went to sleep. Being psychically gifted is basically like being a wizard, but you get your wizard powers from hell. This is called being a psyker.
So they're warlocks.
Basically, if you want to do cool wizard shit like lightning from your hands or reading someone's mind, you can do that, but you siphon the energy to do that from the warp. Luckily, the Eldar are very good at handling this without too many negative effects because, you know, summoning power from the Sea of Souls with the new Chaos friends can be a bit of an issue, but Eldar are pretty good at it. And you see, what's really cool and also awful about Warhammer is that most developed species travel long, faster than light distances by going through that warp. They create a tear in reality to
like a warp
reality and move through it.
Literal
Faster than
warp
light travel? Cringe. We go through hell itself to deliver your packages. For those of you who play Minecraft, you know how the Nether is like a pocket dimension? So moving 10 spaces in the Nether is actually moving something like 1,000 in the real world. That's basically what warp travel is. Just much like in the Nether, there are a lot of things that want to kill you. The Eldar found a way to do so in between realities. Not regular reality, not the warp, something else. A purgatory of sorts. A fabricated psychic
like a little tunnel
that allowed them to travel without fearing the negative effects of the warp. The Eldar were the perfect fit for the new galaxy, and they took it with open arms and pointy ears. The empire of the Eldar spread
Never
everywhere,
trust
and it
elves.
spread all the way until now, the 21st century. That's right, while you were watching NPC streams on TikTok, the space elves were ruling the galaxy, and they did so for quite a long period of time. The 21st century came and went. Humanity grew and grew, all under the nose of their elf overlords. At this time, humans advanced, your classic sci-fi style way. We began to expand, colonize our solar system, terraformed our planets, created new and more powerful machines and starships. The age of Terra, also known as Earth, but we call it Terra here, was here, and existed between the 21st century all the way until the 15th millennia. Not much is known about this time, not much needs to be known. Humanity grew up, sought the stars. It's classic. Then came the years between 15,000 and 25,000, the age of technology, or to some, the dark age of technology. This is when humanity reached a new apex of technological understanding. When you think of sci-fi, there's a lot of things you can think of. Star Trek, Star Wars styles, you can go cyberpunk dystopian. The age of technology was deep sci-fi, like a scientific prowess that fringed on magic. This is also when the first ever psychers began showing up in humanity. Individuals with the genetic mutation to be able to access the warp, and then because of that, travel through it. Humanity was no longer constricted to their early ways of travel. With warp travel, they could go anywhere in the galaxy. They equipped ships with gigantic AI machines, with everything you would ever need to know about mankind, and sent them out on colony ships to expand their influence across the galaxy.
So what happened?
This was truly the golden age.
This sounds way better than what we have now.
Every golden age, there is a fall.
Oh,
While the new human upstarts of the galaxy were reaching new levels of technology and prowess, The Eldar were engaging in
debauchery.
What happens when a species has everything? You can produce unlimited food out of nothing. Your need for farmers
they start
and
getting
workers,
bored.
gone. You have dominated the stars and have created a fast travel system that doesn't rely on the dangers of the warp. You have nothing else to do. You have no struggles, no problems, and feel as if there is nowhere else to go. Well, you begin to experiment. The Eldar started harmless enough. You know, you take a serious interest in your species' culture, your arts, paintings, poems, plays. These are Eldar, elves, remember? Their emotions are heightened, more powerful than us humans. So your plays get louder. They start to push on the limits of your hearing ability. Your music becomes different, more deranged. It pushes the boundaries of what is
modern art.
The visual spectacle of art becomes more bizarre, more delusional, more eccentric. And let's not forget a very important sense. Touch. Pornography is one thing.
I'm a virgin.
Brothels is another. What if they all mixed? What if your brothels were part of your art and music? And what if those became more deranged? The boundaries of debauchery were not just met, but shattered. Next thing you know, murder is commonplace and often mixed with the art, music, and sex. Pain is a common byproduct of entertainment. Whatever sensation you can have must be increased, must be enhanced, must be taken to the limits. The Eldar Empire slipped into a nightmarish realm of debauchery and excess, with the worst of it taking place in a city in the Webway, a black market for these kinds of heinous acts known as Kamara. Some Eldar saw the writing on the wall, saw what was happening to their species and how far they had slipped. So they boarded continent-sized starships called craft worlds and left their empire, seeking a more enlightened, calmer existence among their peers.
So the one that stays become the Dark Eldar.
Pushed it to even greater heights, relishing the pain and torment they inflicted on those around them. All during this, the warp, the yin to the yang of the world, was fed by these emotions, by the psychic power of the Eldar, by the souls taken in these depraved acts on a galactic scale. And just like that, Eldar ended. Slaanesh, the fourth chaos god, was birthed into existence and consumed the souls of 90% of the Eldar population. Those that fled were spared the worst of it, and those in the Webway,
it's almost impressive when you manage to fuck a god into existence,
so long as they continued to commit horrid acts of torture and violence. But for the majority of the Eldar, their empire died with Slaanesh's birth. The new fourth chaos god, she who thirsts, the god of unspeakable excess of pleasure, pain, hedonism, and perfection, had been born. With the fall of the Eldar Empire came the ruin of humanity. Slaanesh's birth sent storms in the warp across the galaxy, making travel between star systems impossible. Coupled with a huge classic AI rebellion, as a staple in these sci-fi settings, humanity
they got
began to
Skyneted
suffer
as well.
the age of strife. Now, planets that relied on intergalactic travel were completely cut off. Long-range messages, normally sent through the warp, were snuffed out. If you were a planet that was great at mining stuff but couldn't get food, well, you know that movie about the rugby players in the mountains? Oh,
yeah,
and
bad
because
times.
of these insane warp storms and fluctuations, psychers began to appear among the human population a bit more often. Now, this initially had them hunted down as witches, because that's pretty common in this setting, but some deemed it right to protect them. Unfortunately for those people, psychers, because they open a gateway to the warp, don't really know how to use their powers well, and they kind of attract demons, who then force their way through the psyker as a conduit of sorts and begin to slaughter the population of your planet.
Oh, that's
the
not
age
good.
of strife was a catastrophic period of time for humanity.
So that could have literally happened at any time.
Tenfold over the not one, not two, but 5,000 year period. During this time, the age of humanity that we know began to form. Worlds equipped with large mechs for agriculture began to equip them with weapons to defend from alien and demonic invaders. Over 5,000 years, this became a custom and tradition, dubbing them as night worlds, a feudal society of honor-bound knights in gigantic robots that uphold the chivalric code to defend their worlds and honor. A group of individuals on Mars, after radioactively bombing their planet to become inhospitable to human life, ran their entire lives underground on the few life support systems keeping them alive. Those technicians who could work on the machines and keep them operational were revered, and over 5,000 years went from skilled members of society to full-blown priests. The cult Mechanicus, or tech priests of Mars, formed in the ashes of the Red Planet with a religious fervor and doctrine on the cult of the machine god. And on Earth, or Terra, techno-barbarian tribes waged war across the planet in a Mad Max style of blood and gore, until finally a mysterious man
that would be
who
a cool
lived in the shadows
setting
of
for
Terra
a
for
game.
millennia finally revealed himself to the populace. His name was the Emperor. He deemed himself the Emperor of mankind. Where did he come from? I don't know. Why is he 10 feet tall and the most powerful psyker of all of mankind? I don't know. Why is he basically immortal? I don't know. Where'd Cotton Eye Joe go? Who knows? But he's here, and he isn't happy with all of you ripping up Terra. So he began the Unification Wars, where he and a very early version of the famous Space Marines, the Thunder Warriors, reunited Terra under a single banner. With blood. Then, after
this will be a really
Earth,
cool setting.
he reunited the Thunder Warriors
like
into
Thunder
the
Wars
fucking
versus
dirt.
techno-barbarians.
This is where we get the Imperium of Man, also known as the Imperium. The new faction headed by the Emperor of Mankind, with a treaty signed with the cult Mechanicus on Mars to spread out and reunite humanity after the catastrophic Age of Strife. But first, the Emperor is going to need some smaller versions of himself. 20 of them. 18 of them, I meant. Gene-crafted sons of the strongest humans ever.
Wonder if we'll ever figure out what happened to the last two Primarchs.
Unparalleled strategic power, intelligence, formidable strength and size. A real powerful force to unite humanity and stop the chaos of the current galaxy. Speaking of chaos, you ever seen that image of that guy? It's like throwing the baby like a basketball. It's about what happened. The Chaos Gods intervened and grabbed the 18 Primarch gestation pods and yeeted them across the galaxy at a whim, everywhere they could possibly go.
Oh, that's how they got to different planets.
Keep away. So the Emperor had to get them back. So begins the Great Crusade, a crusade across the stars to reunite not just humanity, but the Emperor with his fallen sons. The first to be found was Horus, one of the strongest and most noble sons. We all know how that ended up. Carried with him a legion of newly crafted warriors with genetic material made from their Primarch father. These are the newly made Space Marines. For Horus, his were the Luna Wolves. And as the Emperor continued on his great crusade, he found more and more of his sons, reuniting them with their individual space.
Yeah, we learned about these in another Bricky video.
The cunning hunter with the space
let us know what your favorite legion was.
The Phalanx with the Imperial fists. Angron, the barbarian.
Which Primarch's your favorite? That'll be interesting.
World Eaters. Fulgrim, the perfect, with his Emperor's children. And Jagatai Khan, the swift, the stoic, and his white scars. Those were just some of the 18, and one by one his lost Primarch sons were returned to him, and their Space Marine legions returned to them. The Great Crusade saw humanity once again reconquer the stars, returning worlds of humanity back to the Imperium and killing any and all who stood against
the heresy
their
armors. They do look pretty cool.
But in the years of the 31st millennia, treachery would break this all apart. Men, we don't know what we did. Horus, the Emperor's most beloved and favored sons, named War Master for the Crusade, succumbed to the power of chaos and daddy issues. All because of that bastard Erebus. Yo, fuck Erebus.
Who's Erebus?
Slowly Horus would become corrupted, turning the Emperor's sons against him. This begins the most pivotal moment in our story, and the
that guy
one
does
that
not
has
look like he's having a
50
good time.
books written about it, the Horus heresy. Half. 9
oh
of the
yeah,
18
we saw this
Primarchs
cinematic
turned
before.
against the Emperor, and the following years were a bloody battle for the throne of Terra. The Emperor originally was working
that the
on a
Horus
special
heresy would make an
webway
awesome
project,
game, meaning
just
on
like
its,
the
just on its
Eldar,
own,
to
be
make
fair.
faster than light travel significantly easier and safer. Really improve humanity to allow them to conquer the stars without the risk of the warp. Well, this big red idiot named Magnus kind of blew a hole into that, literally and figuratively. So Big E over there is stuck on a gigantic golden throne, holding back the oncoming rush of demons and powering the Astronomicon, basically a big North Star for people who are sailing in the warp to help them navigate.
Sense.
The Horus heresy saw many loyalist and traitor legions pitted against each other in a bloody war until it reached Terra itself. Horus, unable to break through the lines and with time running out, made a gambit and opened his ship up to be boarded. The Emperor took this challenge, quickly allowing someone else to take control of the throne as he teleported his way onto Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. The Emperor, unable to truly kill his most beloved son, changed his mind right quick when Horus strangled the life out of his other son, Sanguinius.
No!
I'm sure you've seen this image at some point. The Emperor then said, "I'm not gonna sugarcoat it," and proceeded to psychically blast Horus into complete oblivion, killing not only his body, but also his soul. Horribly wounded from this duel, the Emperor is returned to the Golden Throne in order to keep the demons at bay and power the Astronomicon, because without it, humanity would be flying blind. There he sits, slowly dying from his wounds
is that what he looks
and the
like now?
strain of powering the Golden Throne. The only thing keeping him alive is feeding upon the souls of 1,000 psychers every
I would love to see a
single
model of the
day.
Golden
This
Throne.
was 10,000 years ago. We are now in the 41st millennium, modern day. Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah!
The Emperor remains on his throne. The Imperium is a rotting carcass of an empire, a fascist, xenophobic cult that worships the Emperor as a deity despite him never wanting to be seen as a god. Over the span of 1 million worlds, the ecclesiarchy, the church of the Emperor, is spread throughout. Inquisitors with unparalleled power root out any sign of heresy or lack of devotion to their god Emperor. The other half of the traitor legions move about as Chaos Space Marines, raiding and pillaging the Imperium, while the loyalist half does their best to keep the Empire alive. All throughout this, they must endure orc invasions,
I was going to say, what are the other
trickery,
races
the
doing?
reawakening of the Necron race, and the Great Devourer, the newest tyrannid threat from the darkness between galaxies that has arrived to feast on their worlds. The theme of Warhammer 40,000 is regression and intolerance. Every major faction in Warhammer has had an empire that spanned the galaxy only to be crushed.
I need to know where these cinematics are coming
of
from.
What they
all
once
look
were
awesome.
due to their own failings. Culture, the arts, personal freedom, religious tolerance, the simple possibility that alien life might not want to kill us is considered heretical and is often met with a pistol to the head. There is no time for these things. All there is time for is worship of the God Emperor and a million wars to be fought. To be a human in the 41st millennia is 99% of the time to live a horrible existence. To be one of trillions of other humans across a million worlds throughout the galaxy. A galaxy where AI is outlawed, so humans are repurposed and lobotomized to become slaves. A place where lack of devotion is met with death. And if you even have devotion, there is a good chance the threats to the galaxy, chaos, and aliens will kill you anyway. Warhammer is a world where you revel in being bad. There are protagonists, there are antagonists, but every faction is some shade of evil. Because playing the bad guys is always more fun. And my friend, you have a selection. So
big
pick
selection.
up that las gun soldier soldier, you and the other 3 million men and women in this single deployment on this single world in this single battle will now show them the might of the God Emperor.
I see
that weapon in your hands has killed 99% of the alien populations in this galaxy.
Kaida at some point.
Unfortunately for you, soldier, you're fighting the final 1%. May the Emperor be with us. Glory to the first man to die. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
Awesome. Some of the artwork for this game is just unbelievably gorgeous. Well, that was another great video by Bricky, who does an amazing job explaining the lore. It's always interesting to learn where all the factions fit into the setting. A big shout for Bricky for making these videos, and thanks for everyone who's been watching along with me. Feel free to comment down below what other videos we should watch next, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.